Over 60 foreigners without valid visas have been nabbed in raids that began on Friday and continued into the weekend. 2 British men were among those who will now be housed at the Immigration Detention Centre before being waved goodbye to. Before they can leave, they or their families will need to raise funds for the 20,000 baht fine and the flight. Until then, it's less than comfortable accommodation and food. Thai military is on alert as flood warnings continue into this week, with lighter storms predicted for the whole of the next 7 days. At the moment, rivers in many areas are overflowing, and dams have been forced to release extra water to avoid overfilling, in many areas flooding into already covered lowlands. If this week's storms decrease as expected, then flooding will of course recede. More important, dams will be able to release extra water without too much effect. Prehistoric collector's items from what is now Ubon Thani have been returned to Thailand by the family of a former collector. Since 2014, over 500 artifacts have been returned at the behest of both the Thai and the US government. Most were removed without authorization in days before strict checks on borders and airports were introduced. Respect is to return to the paparazzi here. This is the Prime Minister's office has requested that photographers at least show a little respect and desist from shoving cameras in the face of the Prime Minister and other leaders. Registered media will of course be allowed to take pictures. However, the current habit of fighting for front position in media gangs and almost interrupting public statements will have to stop. In other countries too, there's a minimum distance that is automatically adhered to by the media. Here, they'll simply have to back off a bit. Meanwhile, at home and in Pattaya, Sunday morning raids on a Jontiem nightclub resulted in the discovery that it was still open and busy at 4 a.m. Worse, many of the customers were juveniles and drugs were found in tests that were carried out. With the youngsters held until their parents came to collect them, it's likely that the authorities will ask for the building and the patron's license to be revoked, which will mean that the building can't be used in the future to sell alcohol or operate as a disco. Guest houses may get a reprieve after the current ban on unregistered buildings being used for daily rentals of rooms. Word is that we could see a reprieve with conditions set within 6 weeks. If that happens, it's good news for tourists on a budget and we'll see the high season at least recover. Our calls to Westerners to donate blood at Pattaya International Hospital, as a British man suffered from malaria and needed Group O blood, has been called off by the hospital now, as they thank all who have donated. It seems that Fabulous 103 listeners supplied more than enough. An excellent response, and thanks from the hospital to all who went to donate. And with the Met Office promising highs of 31 dropping down to 27 tonight and showers at different times during the day, that is the local and national news from Fabulous 103 FM. Keeping you in touch with Thailand and of course Pattaya, the city of fun.